have to knock loudly to be heard above the sound of the mixer," said Millie. The cowboy went to the door of the farmhouse and knocked. No answer. He knocked again. Millie and the cowboy kept knocking at Mr. Anderson's door, and at last Mr. Anderson opened it. "Can you tell us where the circus is?" asked the cowboy. Mr. Anderson laughed. "You're at the wrong farm," he said. "The circus is over at Sullivan's farm this year, down by the bay." "Thanks," they said, and raced off toward Sullivan's farm. They could see the circus wagons long before they reached the farm. As they reached the first wagon, they heard a growl. Millie jumped. She turned her head and looked right into the face of a huge lion. "Let's get out of here," said Millie. "That cage doesn't look very strong." "You're right," said the cowboy. After Millie and the cowboy were scared by the lion, they hurried away into a nearby field, where there were no circus wagons or wild animals. "Watch out," said Millie. "What's wrong now?" asked the cowboy. "You almost stepped on a bee," said Millie. "There it is, flying around those tulips." The cowboy laughed. "Bees don't bother you if you don't bother them," he said. "This one is just buzzing around gathering nectar so it can make honey. Listen." Zzz, zzz. The bee flew toward the bay. After the bee flew away, Millie and the cowboy looked around the field. "Look," said the cowboy. "There, on the fence post." "What is it?" asked Millie. "It's the second alphabet block. The I. I." Millie and the cowboy were delighted about finding the second alphabet block. "Hooray!" said Millie. "Does it give us another clue? What sort of picture does it have? Is it carved like the last one?" The cowboy turned it over. "There's a picture of some boats tied up at a dock," he said. "I wonder which dock it is," said Millie. "The nearest one is over there, across the bay," said the cowboy. "But I don't know how we'll get across." "Look," said Millie. "There's Mr. Sullivan rowing out to his motorboat. Maybe he'll take us." Millie called to Mr. Sullivan. "May we go with you?" she shouted. "Do you know how to swim?" called Mr. Sullivan. "I do," said Millie. "So do I," said the cowboy. "All right," said Mr. Sullivan. He rowed back to shore and they got in. Then he rowed them out to his motorboat. When the motorboat started, they raced across the bay. Other motorboats passed them, all making a noise like this.